Hi there, and this is going to be another talk on DNA activations and what it is, and this is a very interesting thing for a lot of people, and it is a thing that does happen. And what it is DNA activations is spiritual awakening, and spiritual awakening is DNA activations. And for anyone that is new to me, I'm someone that had an unexpected spiritual awakening just under 10 years ago. Under 10 years ago, and to cut a long story short, well, actually, I don't have to cut a long story short, but the awakening was unexpected. I didn't know anything about this kind of thing. Had no interest in it. I was just a guy that writes songs, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I start going through this awakening, and I didn't know what it was, and so what I did is I thought like I was turning into some like human angel or something. I didn't know what was going on, but I started to look on YouTube. Not that long after it, I can't remember exactly, but not that long, and because I knew that it was a spiritual experience, but it was a countless experiences, and ever since then it's been relentless. And so I found out that this experience does happen, and it's happened forever, and people have had these awakenings and spiritual awakenings a lot of the time in solid, people that have been on their own, and that's like me. And on this planet at this moment in time, people from all different countries have had these awakenings. And why, you might ask? Well, it's because the planet is going through an awakening. So the point of God awakening certain people is so that you can see that these people aren't any better than you, and yet they're accessing this amazing thing, and so then you know how to awaken yourself. That's the point of it. That's the point. And but spiritual awakening, what it is it's a parallel it's parallel future timelines that you're interacting with in spiritual awakening, and it's your future. Consider it like you've got a heaven self, a you that's in heaven, and a earth you. And in spiritual awakening, your heaven self has activated you, and that's the thing that has started this DNA activation. Now, some people, if you want to believe that it's a god, or if it's some people believe that it's higher dimensional beings, groups of beings that do this to certain people. If you want to believe that, I don't want to get in the way of your belief, but but that's what's going on. It's future timelines of yourself, because everything's oneness. Everything is one thing, one infinity of nothingness, and that nothingness is just awareness, and so we're all one. But once you've had that activation, what's happened is you're meant to have it. When you have it, and as soon as that happens, you're now going through a series, of all these different activations, and it's like someone's cut the cord and took your DNA. I mean, I'm not a scientist or doctor, so I probably don't understand about DNA like they would, but it's like someone's cut the DNA cord and shifted it or put it in a higher position, so that you are now beyond human. And this is once you get that big awakening, that now you're going to get them all the time. But what will happen is you'll get one activation, and then I will leave it a while until you deal with it, and then develop to it, because you've got to align with these activations. Because if something has cut the cord of your DNA and then activated your DNA, so now it's like someone's cut it and then connected it so that you're going to be now developing to a more evolved version of yourself. With this comes a lot of emotional changes, physical body changes, because of this DNA activation. And how does one do this to themselves? Well, spiritual awakening happens at the moment that you decide enough's enough, and you just know that enough's enough, and so you decide to be present. And so you're not going with the outward distractions, you're just going within, and you're here. But for a lot of people, it takes a lot of depression sometimes for that to happen. So that DNA activation will not happen until you decide that enough's enough. And for a lot of people, for me, it had to be a situation where I sat down one day and decided. But I guess you have to be in a certain level of feeling down. You have to be backed into a corner sometimes for something to happen. But you can awaken right now. If you decide that that's what's going to happen, it will happen. But yeah, this is what's happening on the whole planet. Everything that's going on. See, everyone is actually just characters in a movie. And God, which is just a motherly force, we call it Gaia, love, is the orchestrator for this movie. And the characters in the movie, like the different people, are just characters in the movie. But when you wake up, you realize that you are the film, you are the actors, you are the God also. You're everything. And yeah, awakening, like I say, it happens when you decide, and you just, it's an instinct thing. And it happens when you decide, when you decide that, because we create our own reality. Everything, we are our own gods within us. You know, and that's how it is. But when you're going through these DNA activations, that's what it's like. It's like something has cut the cord, and now, oh my God, like years ago, I would suffer, like I had to put like calming lotion on my body like years ago because of all these different energies I was interacting with, and it was like burning my body and stuff. So, and that doesn't happen now because I've aligned with it. So it's like once that DNA cord has been cut and it's been activated to a higher level, to a higher level, you've now got to adjust with that. You know what I'm saying? So it can be quite a difficult process, but the way to get through it is you've got to do two things. You've got to be kind to yourself. You've got to do what is right for this moment, and also what is right for moving forward. So it's about getting that balance right. You know, but that's who is doing the activations is it's just you. What you're interacting with is future timelines. That's what happens because everything is within presence. And once you decide the outward world is an illusion, you're present, and then you're interacting with all these different parallel versions. So that's what's activating your DNA. Because you've got a heaven self, like I say, you've got a heaven self, and you've got a human self, and in spiritual awakening, you're now aligning with the heaven self with the physical self. But yeah, in these activations, you will start. You'll all of a sudden you could get a body change. You won't be able to eat the same kind of food, and there's a lot of emotional stuff gets involved also. And some people will some people on the awakening process, like I used to, I'm not a drinker, but I used to buy alcohol to deal with it, and I don't do that now. But it was just because of what I was going through. But it's not really what you want to do, because then you're just holding back the process. But it's just because it's not that it's a harsh experience. It's just that when you're first going through it, you can make something a harsh experience by the way you think about it. You see, but because what's happened is your DNA is being activated, and you're going beyond human into like an angelic human, and then you're going beyond that, and it has to happen in little stages, you see. So even though you feel lots going on in this DNA activation, it's only a little chord, and a little change is happening in your DNA, but a little change in your DNA is going to be you're going to experience that in a big way. So it's little things, and I just thought this was important to talk about. And like I say, if you are going through this, the way to get through it is to just go with it, go with the flow, do what's best for this moment, and do what is best going forward, and get that balance right. And I'm just going to end it there, and I'm going to end by saying that DNA activation is spiritual awakening, and spiritual awakening is DNA activation. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Thank you.